Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing a video talking to you about this upper receiver here from Spikes Tactical. I've been using this thing for a few months now, so I finally feel ready and informed enough to do my actual review of this thing. I got this mostly so I could incorporate it into the barrel velocity video I did. I had a bunch of different barrel lengths. I did not have a 14.5, and since I knew 14.5s were really popular, I wanted to pick one up. Spikes Tactical was kind enough to send me one, so just FYI, full disclosure, I did not actually pay for this upper receiver, but you know, I'm going to be rolling as much evidence as I can in front of the camera so to back up all the statements I'm going to be making. So as always, you guys know I'm giving you my honest opinion here. Just as far as a quick rundown of what this thing has from Spikes Tactical, you get a regular Milspec charging handle, a Spikes Tactical bolt carrier group, upper receiver obviously, the Spikes Tactical quad rail, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but normally if you guys have seen any of my other stuff, you know I'm not a huge fan of quad rails. However, this one has a lot of things that I like, but again, I'm going to cover that later. Came with a bunch of the these little like rubber rail covers, I guess, and then the Spikes Tactical barrel here, which is a 1-in-7 cold hammer forged barrel, which is again 14.5, so it has a pinned and welded Spikes Dynacomp on the front. Since then, we've obviously added this vertical grip here, some Magpul flip-up sights, and this Surefire light off here to the side. So what I'm going to do before I get too far ahead of myself is just take this side of the screen and list off a lot of the specs. However, honestly, if you really want to know a lot about this thing, just go to Spikes Tactical's website and read the product page. They're going to have way more information as far as those technical specs than I would care or even know to give in this video. So if you really want to know those fine details, definitely check out their website. But you know, I pretty much ran over all the main stuff already at this point. So one of the things that's impressed me when I did the barrel velocity video, if you guys have seen that, if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to, is again, just using the Fiocchi Ammo, which is 223 spec, seems a little bit slower than a lot of the NATO spec stuff. This thing didn't have a whole lot of difference between this and the 16-inch barrel. Now again, if you were to use different ammo, there might be a bigger difference, but I'll go ahead and list at the bottom of the screen the averages for the 16-inch barrel versus the 14.5-inch barrel, because one of the biggest, I guess, issues that people have with the 14.5 is it's you're giving up some of that velocity, and we all know that when it comes to 5.56, its efficacy comes from its velocity. But again, even though theoretically you're giving up some of that velocity in the 14.5, I didn't experience that much of a difference in my own testing. Again, ammo selection plays a huge part in that, but I was pretty satisfied with the results I got from this. Now, along with that velocity, one of the most important things I think with any rifle, especially when you're going to be trusting your life to in any sort of like fighting context, is reliability. I can honestly say at this point, we've probably put 800 or 900 rounds through this thing conservatively, probably more than that, but just conservatively, that's what I can know off the top of my head. And I have had 0 malfunctions whatsoever. Now, I haven't run this thing through a crazy intense class or anything like that. I haven't gotten it extremely hot or extremely dirty, just, you know, pretty frequent range outings and running, you know, maybe 100 to 200 rounds through it each time. And it's just been working. So that's obviously a really, really important thing. And honestly, I think the most important thing. Now, one of the things that I was a little bit concerned about early on in the testing was the accuracy. So I'm just going to go ahead and get to that part now. I was running some of the Fiocchi Ammo through it. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of Fiocchi Ammo. However, I was getting not terrible results accuracy-wise, but not results that I thought accurately represented what this gun was capable of. I was getting about 2-inch groups at 100 yards. Again, not terrible. That's perfectly acceptable for any sort of fighting rifle, but I figured that this thing could probably do better. So what I went ahead and did was I bought ammo specifically to test with this thing today. It was Frontier ammo. I was using their 62 grain and 68 grain boat tail hollow points. I had never used it before, but I figured it's NATO spec. It seems to be using good bullets. Let's go ahead and try it out. It's also affordable. That was kind of the biggest part, to be honest with you. So let me go ahead and just grab some of the targets that we shot today using that ammo, just so you can see exactly what I was talking about. Okay, so first of all here, right down here, this was zeroing it at 25 yards. Hopefully this is going to be exposed well enough to where you can actually see it. If not, I'll just roll in close-up pictures. This was just zeroing it at 25 yards with the scope we put on it for this testing. Ordinarily, I probably wouldn't put a 12-power scope on a 14.5 rifle, but I wanted to see what the maximum accuracy potential was of this thing, so that's what we did. So I started with some Wolf Gold, and all these other groups are at 50 yards, so keep that in mind. We can extrapolate what that would be at 100 yards, but these were all shot at 50. The Wolf Gold did okay, not terrible, but we're still looking at probably just over an inch center to center, which would translate to about 2 inches at 100 yards. Not super impressive. And I should also mention we were shooting off a Coldwell lead sled, kind of the base model lead sled. And as you'll see in the video, or if you've seen any other video where I've used it, I don't have any of the counterweights, so it slides around a lot, and I'm constantly wrestling it around, and I think that makes a difference, as you'll see on the next piece of paper we show you when we made some changes to the setup. But nonetheless, we shot about a 1-inch group here. That was okay. Again, not great, but okay. Then we switched to, I believe it was the 62 grain we shot first of the Frontier Ammo, and we shot another 5-shot group here. Now, excluding this one flyer, we're looking at about half an inch center to center for these 4 shots, which again, extrapolated out, is about 1 inch. So about 1 MOA. That's pretty okay. I was pretty happy with that. But again, I didn't like that flyer, so we kept shooting. Switched to the 68 grain, or maybe we shot another 62 grain. I'll have to go back through the footage and I'll mark what each one of these are. And again, we opened it up a little bit. Wait, which one are we at here? Oh, sorry, down here. I'm all discombobulated, I'm sorry guys. We switched to the 68 grain, and we had another really nice tight 4 shots right here, but again, we had the 1 flyer. Now, I'm not the best shooter in the world. I'm fully willing to accept that the flyers were probably my fault, so we kept shooting. And then, shooting the same 68 grain Frontier Ammo, we went from a nice tight shot group here to like a 1.5 inch, almost 2 inch group down here. And I thought, and that one specifically, I was really wrestling around with the lead sled. So what we did was we put a piece of carpet underneath the lead sled to hopefully keep it from sliding around, so I didn't have to fight it back into the same point of aim. So let me grab the other piece of paper and show you what happened after we did that. So once we did that, things got a lot more consistent and a lot more impressive, I will say. So I think, again, it's either the 62 grain or 68 grain Frontier Ammo, and we shot this one. And that is about maybe 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch center to center for a 5-shot group, no flyers. So extrapolate it out, that's about 1 to 1.5 MOA. I'll have to measure these once I get home, but that's pretty respectable for a fighting rifle. Then we went over here. This one opened up a little bit. We had 1 flyer, but still those 4 shots center to center, not that bad. I think at this point I even switched back to the 62 grain Fiocchi just to see if that would do any better. And it did a little bit better, but we're still looking at about 1 inch, so it's about 2 inches at 100 yards. And then I decided to have my friend Alex shoot a group. He'd never used the lead sled before. And he hadn't used that scope before, so he was, I think he was just trying to hustle me, because then he shot the best group of the day, 5 shots right there, easily under 1/2 inch. I think that was the 62 grain Frontier Ammo, which again, well under 1/2 inch, well under 1 MOA, and that's pretty dang good. I really don't know if you can ask for much more than that, again, out of a rifle that is meant to be able to go to war, more or less, and protect yourself and your family and your loved ones when you really need it to. So not only is it super reliable, it's also pretty dang accurate once you find the right load for it. Again, it seems to like the 5.56 stuff better, and it is a 5.56 chambered rifle. And it really likes that Frontier Ammo, so I'm probably gonna have to pick up some more of that. Again, this is my first time ever using it, and I'm really happy with the results, and I want to try it through some of my other rifles now, because it seems to really like it. So one of the things that I really wanted to mention with this video is I guess some of the decisions made by Spikes Tactical that I am a huge supporter of. So if you guys have seen some of my other political videos, you know that to me it is really important for gun companies to support gun owners. And Spikes Tactical is one of those companies that really supports us civilians owning rifles like this one. They have a policy which essentially says that if there is a state or government area that does not allow their citizens to own firearms like this, then they will not sell those government agencies firearms like this. They are basically saying, look, we want the civilians to have equal rights to the government, and if you are going to limit your citizens, then we will limit what we give to you. Now, obviously, that's not going to stop them from going to a less moral firearms manufacturer out there to get their stuff, but at least Spikes Tactical is standing by and saying, no, we don't want your money if you're not going to support your citizens. And to me, that means a lot. I am hugely supportive of companies like them and BCM and some other companies out there that are willing to take that stand in support of you and I. Again, actions speak louder than words, and that's a pretty big action for a company to take, to basically turn down money because they want to support us civilians. Hugely important to me, and I really cannot overstate that. With that out of the way, I want to just run over some of the things that I was kind of wary of, I guess, when I first got this thing. And the first big one was the quad rail. Again, I've never been a huge fan of quad rails because two things. One, they grate up your hand really, really bad. It's just not fun. And two, they're usually really, really heavy. Now, Spikes Tactical has gotten around both of those. As I said, they come with these little rubberized rail covers. So what that does is pretty much anywhere where you don't have anything attached, you can put one of those rail covers and you are 100% good to go and not having to worry about this thing cheese grating up your hand. That's a huge win. Second of all, I don't know how well you can tell this on camera, but this thing is like super skeletonized. This is as lightweight as I probably think you can get a quad rail without seriously compromising its integrity. They have really cut as much weight out of this thing as possible, to the point where, again, especially stripped without, you know, all this other accoutrements on this thing, it was surprisingly lightweight. I don't remember the exact weight off the top of my head. I'll have to go to the product page, and again, you guys can go to the product page to see what the advertised weight is, but it was surprisingly lightweight. And one of the nice things about this quad rail is, as you can maybe tell from the sling attachment on this side, it has built-in sling mounts, which you guys know is a huge thing for me. I love it when you can get that. You have them here in the back as well as up here in the front, I think. Yeah, so you have 3 positions up here in the front at the 3, 6, and 9, and then back here, again, you have it at the 3, 6, and 9. Again, if I can avoid having to attach something to my rifle, I will take it, and having it directly mounted into your handguard, I think, is the best possible option for attaching any sort of QD mount for a sling. So I'm a really, really big fan of that. Now, again, because this thing is so skeletonized, the barrel will cool down as fast as it possibly can. But, you know, once you shoot these things a lot, they get hot. And this thing seems to shoot well when it's hot. One of the other things that I should say, one of the things that I got rid of almost immediately was the Milspec charging handle. Maybe I'm spoiled, but once you have experience with like the BCM gunfighter charging handles, the Geissele charging handles, really any of those nice aftermarket charging handles, it's really hard to go back to the Milspec one. There's just like nothing to grab onto, which is probably a training issue for me. I should probably train with the Milspec ones more often. But you know, again, I have to admit, I really like the aftermarket ones. But again, this is perfectly serviceable. It'll work. It's ready to go right out of the box. You just attach it to a complete lower and you're good to go. But I would probably recommend replacing this Milspec charging handle once you get it. Now with that, it does come with a Spikes Tactical Bolt Carry Group. I'm going to be doing a dedicated video on these because this is actually the second one I've used. I have one in one of my SBR uppers that I've had for a very long time, and I have well over 1,000 rounds through. So I'm going to be doing a dedicated video about that. But long story short, for all you need to know in this video, they work. They work very, very well. You're never going to have to worry about it. So don't even worry about having to replace your BCG. Once you get this thing replaced, you're going to be a very, very happy camper. Now the other thing that I really wanted to mention was the Spikes Dynacomp up here on the front. Again, this thing is pinned and welded, so it's not going to be like you're just having to wrench off, you know, another muzzle device as you would on, say, a 16-inch upper where you don't have to pin and weld it. Again, they do that just to make sure it's at that 16-inch length for the barrel and have you avoid any trouble with the NFA. I will say this thing is very, very effective as a compensator or a brake. This thing hardly moves around while you're shooting it, which is a nice thing. However, as with any other super effective brake or compensator, it's not very pleasant for the people around you. But that's just kind of one of the trade-offs you're making. Now again, because it's been welded, it's going to be harder to switch it out to something else. But if you're looking for something that's going to be very soft shooting, give you very fast follow-up shots, you're going to be hard-pressed to beat the Spikes Dynacomp here. It is, again, very, very effective. But if you're working in a team environment or you just want to be friendly to your fellow range users, it's not going to be the most pleasant for the people around you. But that said, again, it is very, very effective. So really, there's not a whole lot else to say about this thing. I, again, have had 100% reliability with it, whether it's using my reloads or factory ammo or anything like that. Today, with using the Frontier ammo, we had really good accuracy results, so I'm really happy with that. I was going to be really disappointed if I had to say, hey, it's super reliable, I really like it, but you're looking at 2 MOA. As you can see, if you're using the right type of ammo, this thing will definitely do 1 MOA or better, especially if you're a better shot than I am. So, you know, take that as you will. I'm really happy with this. I would not hesitate to recommend Spikes Tactical products to anybody. Again, I'm a huge fan of what their company stands for. They're doing some really good stuff, and they're really supporting us gun owners. For me, the next step is trying out a complete rifle from these guys, because if one of these uppers is this good, I really want to try a complete rifle. Now, I have a bunch of Spikes Tactical lowers, and they're all good, but they're all lowers that I've assembled myself, and I want to see what they're able to do as you know, as a complete product. I think they even have a really nice 308 that they're doing. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see about getting a complete rifle to test. Don't hold your breath, but I'm really impressed. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and throw those in the comment section down below. If you want to see other Spikes products that I've reviewed in the past, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, especially if you want to see the upcoming BCG review that I'm going to be doing. Again, I'm really, really happy with both the other one that I have as well as this one. They've just been running super reliably for me, and they are very well put together. If you guys are so inclined, I do have a Patreon page. I upload all my content there early, as well as doing some exclusive content for my patrons and also some giveaways we just started doing. So check that out if you're interested. And also, I am now uploading the full 30, so if you're watching this video there, I really appreciate it. If not, I would recommend at least subscribing to my channel over there. If you don't watch videos there, I totally get it. It is not the most convenient place to watch videos. I will readily acknowledge that. But YouTube has demonstrated that they do not like the kind of content that I'm producing. So if my channel ever does get taken down, as they have done to some others, at least you guys can see what's going on over there if you're subscribed over there. So even if you don't watch videos over there, I'd recommend at least subscribing, again, just so you can stay on top of things if the worst case scenario happens. But anyway, with all that said, as always, I hope you're able to get something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching. So again, even if you don't watch videos over there, So again, even if you don't watch videos over there, So again, even if you don't watch videos over there, bro, I can't. So even if you don't, okay, it's almost intentional at this point.